Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Our patient is a 2013 BMW 535i DME engine control module, which we have diagnosed in a previous video. The problem with it is that it has a control circuit for one of the coils shorted to ground, which means it probably fried the coil. This is relatively common issue on these ECMs, and surprising fact is that transistor that shorts is actually not a transistor, it's a module, transistor or module, which is called IGBT, and the difference is that it's basically a combination of a bipolar and a field effect transistor. And the purpose of IGBT modules is to conduct a lot or the pulses of huge currents. That's why they're commonly used in motor drivers, in arc welders, basically the devices that need to push a lot of energy, but not continuous energy, but strong pulses of high current. Which you would expect that transistor, this one, and this is 8201AG, it can withstand 400 volts. And our ECM is supplied with 12 volts. But volts that goes to the coil is amplified by the inductance of the coil as a buck voltage or flyback voltage, and it can reach relatively high voltages, relatively high potentials. Yeah, okay, so it's this one, and that is cylinder 2. Let's mark it over here so I don't have to remember. That should do it. So it can withstand a lot of current, but as soon as the voltage goes too high, and actually not only that, on inductive loads, so if your coil is faulty for whatever reason, it will fry this transistor. So faulty coil on BMW and your ECM needs a repair. It kind of sucks, but at least transistor, as you can see, is relatively nicely accessible. You don't have to remove the board, because to remove the board you have to desolder all of these connectors to lift the board. But since they are located here, we don't need to. Oh, and we have a missing capacitor. And we have a crushed capacitor here. Here's our missing capacitor. Let's check if it's not shorted. Doesn't seem to be shorted, so we're gonna replace it. And that's my bad. When I was removing the lid, I made this damage here. Let's inspect the rest. There are no components there. No components here. Now, I have been advised by a friend that to remove it, it's a lot easier when you heat it up. And I will test it on the next try. So I guess you really have to be careful around here, around this area over here. I did not need to go that far with my tool. So first let's resolder this guy, and let's inspect the other one. Okay, the transistor is off. We didn't have to grind it off, which is good, but it's definitely not a soldering project for beginners, you know. It would also be easier if we had a preheater, or if the board was placed on the preheater board alone, because on the other side we have aluminum which acts like a heatsink, so it makes it especially difficult to bring the transistor to proper temperature. Alright, it cooled down a bit. This is what Sorin calls a proper hard job. This is definitely not something that I would recommend anyone doing as without proper soldering skills, because the heat dissipation is massive, and even with a really good hot air station, it's really difficult. It just won't let loose, and you have a bunch of components around it. It's really hard. I actually have to consider upping the price for this repair, because not only you have to spend some time opening the ECM, so it's not like Subarus that you just unclip two clips and you're done. And on top of that, desoldering this transistor is quite a challenge. And as you can see, a lot of things can go wrong. I mean, nothing went wrong during the desoldering and resoldering, so that's good. I mean, other than this capacitor over here that I moved. But you can see they're pretty close. It's easy to knock them out, especially since you're operating with really high temperature on the transistor. But even during the opening of the ECM, and I'm still not sure if there's not going to be any other issues. So what I'm going to do is just send it over to the customer and have him test it. And if there are any issues, I'll take it back and I'll clone it to a replacement. Actually, these used are not very expensive, but the repair on these is pretty pricey. There is a company, ECU Expert or something like that, ECM Expert, something like that, or ECU Pros or something with ECU in the name, and they offer testing because they have a whole bunch of vehicles that they keep on their lot, and they just test it the proper way. Basically put it in the vehicle, drive around. If it's driving, everything's good. Alright. But they charge hefty, which is understandable because they have to maintain like maybe 50 vehicles to test ECM, so it's absolutely understandable. Their prices are high. I do not offer testing, especially not on this particular ECM. I do some testing on Subarus, but also very limited. Unless it's 2008 or 2009 Outback LLB 3-liter engine, which means I can just put it in my vehicle to test it. So I have like one that I can test. So this is the transistor we desoldered. As you can see, I heated it up enough that one of the legs, when I lifted it, I used a little bit of force, a little more than normally. But this is the gate. The gate is gonna be weak because it's got poor connection. The drain and source have wide connections, so they're not gonna fall off, but gate will. And doesn't look like much, but it's extremely challenging to desolder this guy. And as I said, if it was just the board alone, if I removed the board, that would be easier because I wouldn't have to heat up the whole aluminum heatsink that it has. Alright, all of this has to heat up, and it's on this side, right? And that's what it's used for, right? For removing the heat, dissipating the heat and transferring it into the heatsink or to the body, so it doesn't overheat. But I don't think overheating would be the issue on this one. And we're good. Okay. Okay, all 6 are good now. Everything else looks good. That resistor that I nicked a little bit seems to be fine, so it should be good. The capacitor not shorted, so I just knocked it off. I didn't damage it. But yeah, that will be the repair. It's well, you see why it has to be pricey, right? And actually, you know, after this, I think I'm gonna up the price on it even further, because it's a lot of work and there's some risk, right? Some stuff can go wrong. Alrighty, well, this will resolve the problem of shorted coil, so there should be no more misfires on this one. If you have this issue, feel free to reach out to me. I don't have these transistors in stock. I just order them as I need them. Each transistor is about 20 bucks unless you get them from China, which is cheaper, but then you have to wait 3 weeks or so. I ordered them from California, so they take like a few days to get here, but significantly more expensive. If you want to perform this repair yourself, be warned, it's not as easy as it might seem. It definitely is not as easy as it looked, although I think it didn't look easy when I did it just now, right? It didn't feel like it was easy, did it? Maybe in the sped up footage it looks like it was just a minute or two, but the whole repair, we are at 52 minutes now. So basically it's an hour repair, not counting opening the lid, de-lidding the ECM. That alone is quite a lot of work. So unless you're really confident in your skills, I do not recommend doing this yourself. Send it to the pros and we'll get it done for you. No damages here, no damages there, and there is a little bit of bending, but I'll just leave it like that for now. And I guess, I don't know, or maybe I'll try to hit it with the hammer. It's a little bit bent over here, not significantly, but I don't know. And probably it should be resealed. I would guess so. I'm not sure where it is located. If it's inside the car, then it's fine. If it's by the engine bay or in the engine bay, then it probably should be sealed. And judging by how dirty it is, it's probably in the engine bay. So yeah, probably should be sealed, but we'll figure that out. In any case, thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate you, and I shall see you in the next time.